done too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's up, guys? It is a Friday night, so I thought that I would come in and answer some questions. I know a lot of you have questions for me. You can ask me any question on any topic that you want, any question that relates to pretty much anything. You guys know Uncle Boyce and Dr. Boyce are in the building. Uncle Boyce talks about everything that's non-financial, but Dr. Boyce is a financial guy. So whichever questions you have, put your question in the chat and I'll answer the questions very quickly. So give me short questions. I will answer short questions. I will give you short answers so we can answer as many questions as we possibly can. I'm going to tell you one thing I was just looking at that was really interesting. I just shared this. I read the Wall Street Journal, and in the Wall Street Journal, I saw some data that said that 40% of the COVID deaths, 40% were people that were in long-term care facilities, right? So these are people that are really sick, people that could die from anything. I think that a better way to do the lockdown, instead of locking down people, you know, that are 17, 18 years old, people under 30 make up 1% of the deaths. So rather than locking down, you know, 14-year-olds and 25-year-olds, why not lock down the senior citizens and keep them safe until all this stuff is over? I think that might have been a little bit better, but that's just my 2 cents. I just had to get that in. Let's see. Somebody asked about the teeth. Everybody's asking about the teeth. Don't make fun of me. I'm talking funny because I'm going through a 6-month process to do implants. It's a long procedure. They got to drill and shit and pull stuff out and, you know, move stuff around and they have to let the bone grow. So that's why I'm talking funny, is because what I have in my mouth, I have some stuff here to kind of, you know, allow my bone to grow. So it's opening up my bite and all that. That's why I don't like this. It's changing the shape of my face a little bit. I'm losing a lot of weight though, so that's a good thing. I've actually lost about 9 pounds since I've been on a liquid diet. That's been pretty good. Let me see here. Let's see. Do you think Trump will win? I'd be very surprised if Trump wins. That'll actually feed into a conspiracy theory. You know, that maybe the media just gives us. I already know the media is biased. I really believe that. But if he comes back and wins, I'll be really stunned because all the polls are saying that he won't win. So if he comes back and wins, that makes me wonder, you know, what polls were you doing? Because that happened when he beat Hillary. Oil stocks. Do I like oil stocks? Yeah, I own a few oil stocks, but the price of oil is pretty low. I don't know when it's going to recover. And I know oil is probably not a great long-term play in investing, in my opinion. What are your thoughts about kids and BA therapy? I don't know what BA therapy is. I'm sorry. I wish I could answer that question. Why don't you hire rappers to promote your message? Never thought about that. Send me an inbox if you have an idea. Why did you buy ivory colored grills? Why didn't you get diamonds? You want me to get some grills, some little chiclets? Maybe I could be like Tekashi 6ix9ine and be like, yeah. Anyway, what are your thoughts on Trump's comments on LeBron? I didn't see what he said about LeBron. Trump probably doesn't like LeBron. LeBron doesn't like Trump. That's what it is. LeBron is a great activist, but I think that LeBron's incessant allegiance to Black Lives Matter is a big mistake. Black Lives Matter is not an organization I can align with in terms of their family values, and they seem to have an issue with straight men, like heterosexual Black men. They don't really seem to be pro-family. Actually, on their statement, one of the first things they stated was their goal was to destabilize the nuclear family. Well, fuck that. I mean, we already have that shit. I mean, the Democratic Party been doing that for 40 years, and they put us all on welfare and told us to keep daddy out of the house, and then passed the Biden crime bill and sent us all to prison. How can conscious Black conservatives exert their political voice? I think they should continue to do that. Don't let anybody talk you into a box, man. This ain't slavery. This ain't slavery. Anybody who doesn't let Black people be free, well, fuck them. Like, you're supposed to be free. Your ancestors did not die for you to be a Democrat. They didn't die for you to be a Republican. They died for you to be free. Free means you do you, man. As long as you care about your community and you really believe in your heart of hearts that you're doing what's best for Black people, then I'm okay with that. But the problem is we're not used to doing what's best for black people. We're used to doing what's best for white people. We pick our favorite racist and we ride for that favorite racist all the way to the ends of the earth. My favorite racist is Joe Biden. My favorite racist is Donald Trump. Well, then come on, man. That's stupid. That's slavery. That ain't nothing but slavery. So at the end of the day, I have no problem with black conservatives and I have no problem with black liberals. It's just when you start repeating what white people told you to say, I see right through that. I'm not a stupid man. You know, I have a lot of education and I have deep analytical skill. So when you start talking, I have a bullshit-ometer like you would not believe. I can see right through it. I'm like, oh yeah, I heard somebody say that. Nancy Pelosi just said that a few minutes ago. It bores me. It really does. Should we be using resistance as a real strategy? I guess it depends on what you're resisting against, but I think resistance can work. I'm interested in mentorship. Well, I'm already your mentor. I can't do one-on-one mentorship because I'm antisocial. I don't even talk on the phone hardly. What happens to the stock market? Biden wins. Whether it's Biden or Trump, the stock market's going to do fine. The market's just going to adjust. So a Biden win means you're going to get a massive stimulus package, which is going to boost the market, especially a Democratic Party sweep. If you're an investor, you're going to make money either way. A Trump win means that the market will continue to go up because Trump loves the stock market. He loves to brag about it. But then a Biden win could also be good for the stock market because at the end of the day, you live in a capitalist country. I mean, they pretend like they're going to implement all this socialism or whatever. They ain't going to do none of this shit. They're never going to let the stock market fail. So get in line with the stock market. That's one of the few guarantees you have. Let's see, sign up for Dr. Yeah, the PowerNomics Masterclass. Yeah, that starts on the 15th. You can go to PowerNomicsMasterclass.com. That's PowerNomicsMasterclass.com. Me and Dr. Claude Anderson. And you can use the code podcast to get 30% off. Use the code word podcast, you can get 30% off. And I was just reading in PowerNomics, and one of the things that I saw that was really interesting was in chapter 2, he talks about ethno-aggregation. And that's where you align around your common ethnicity to achieve economic power. And he talked about 2 examples of ethno-aggregation that are very successful. One is the Cubans in South Florida, how they basically shut down and pushed out black people, killed black people's political power, and basically made sure the Cuban community was running everything in that bitch. Then you have the Arab immigrants in and around Detroit. He mentions that. He said that they came to Detroit, which is a majority black city, and achieved so much economic and political power that they were able to do whatever they want. In fact, they had so much power in Detroit that, now mind you, in a black city, they had so much power that when Al Gore came to visit, he was running for president, I guess, at the time. When he came to visit Detroit, he didn't even meet with the black business leaders. He met with the Arab leaders. He says it here on page 46. He says, Arabs, which constitute less than 1% of the city's metropolitan area population, have taken control of 90% of the city's gas stations, grocery stores, party stores, discount strip malls, and medical supply businesses. So effectively, you know, there are people that are coming in and they're playing the game on you. They're fooling you. And then he talks about immigration and how we as black people are so quick to go along with the Democratic Party talking points on immigration. Oh, let's let everybody in. He talked about when some black scientists got together and they were trying to get corporations to stop bringing immigrants in to get jobs that black people should be trained for. And he said the mistake they made was they framed it as a minority issue. Instead of a black issue, they made it a minority issue. So the corporations were like, yeah, we need to hire more minorities. Next thing you know, they're hiring Chinese people. They're hiring people from Kazakhstan. They're hiring people from South America. And black people are at the back of the bus again. And the Congressional Black Caucus went right along with it. So that word minority needs to be killed. People of color needs to be killed. We need to talk about black, bliggity black, 100% black, descendant of slave, black, type black in the chat if you get what I'm saying. We got to be black. We need black specific solutions because you have black specific torture. They didn't enslave all the people of color. They didn't enslave the minorities. They didn't enslave the immigrants. They enslaved your black ass. So they need a solution that's for your black ass, period. Let me keep going. Let me see here. What's up, Dr. Boyce? Hey, what's up, Rod from Brooklyn? How you doing, man? As a white man, I find the advice good for all. Do you mind if I follow? Of course not, man. We don't do hate around here. I don't hate anybody. I just wanted to be clear. I know some people have different views on stuff. but like, I don't believe in hate. I believe deeply in love. I believe love is more powerful than hate. Somebody asked me the other day, they said, who do you hate the most? Like, what person do you hate? And I was like, I can't name anybody because I don't even want to carry hate around. Hate really is a poisonous emotion. Now, I'll fight you a little bit. I'll let you know who I am. I'll let you know what I love, and I'll defend that to the death. But I'm not interested in spending time hating people, because when you are a hater, you really are deteriorating your own soul. So if you happen to not be Black and you dig what's going on and you're here to be a student, because, you know, and respect the space, you're always welcome here. Like, I've never ever told somebody they can't come around just because they're not Black. They uninvite themselves, because I think that Black courage is very scary for people. I think that Black self-love, relentless Black self-love, makes a lot of white people very uncomfortable and very nervous. And but it's not for anything I did. It's for how they feel. Maybe it's their guilt. I don't know what it is, but I don't hate nobody, man. I'm not into that. Let me see here. Your teeth look great. Thank you very much. I'm not totally done. This is not the final product, but maybe I'll be talking normal and my teeth won't look so crazy. What's a good amount to start investing? You can start with $5. When you have a pandemic, yeah, I think the pandemic was blown way out of proportion. Remember, 99.9% of you will not die from the virus. 99.9% of you will not die. 200,000 sounds like a massive number. 40% of those people were already in long-term healthcare facilities. You don't go to long-term healthcare facilities when you are like a strapping young man that's filled with energy and health. You go to long-term healthcare facilities when you're kind of close to the end. You know, like my dad is very, very sick. God bless him. His white blood cell count is struggling a little bit. He's a cancer survivor. And we haven't even put him in a long-term healthcare facility. We're not going to. But the point of the matter is to say that if we had to, if things got really bad, we would have to consider that. And that's not when the person is a picture of health. So I think that a more accurate portrayal of the virus would have been a better way to serve the American people. 200,000 sounds like this massive, gigantic number, but 200,000 is a very tiny number in a country of 330 million. To give you a context, of 330 million people, 1% of 330 million is 3.3 million. So if the virus were to take out 1% of the population, it would have to kill not one, not two, but 3.3 million people just to get to 1%. So if you take 1% and go to 1/10 of 1%, then you get 330,000. So the virus hasn't even taken out 1/10 of 1% of the population. That ain't no Holocaust, man. That's not, I mean, there's been wars where, 30% of the soldiers went to battle and 40% of them got killed, right? This is not, this is something that they're playing up in terms of fear. This is terrorism. Terrorism is where you do something to a small group of people, but then you market what you did so that everybody is frozen in fear. So the biggest virus in America right now is fear. So that's my 2 cents. That's what I believe. And it becomes hard to explain that without people getting caught up in their feelings, because they'll say, oh, well, I had an uncle who died from the virus. Yeah, absolutely. But if I have an uncle that gets I've had friends that have been shot, have been killed in gunfire, but that doesn't mean everybody's going to die in a gunfight, right? There's a difference between what happened to me and what's happening to everyone. So I think it's important to at least understand that. Why do I want you to hear that? And why do I keep saying that? I say that because you can't sit here and frozen in fear for the rest of your life. You got to move on. You got to live. So anyway, let me keep going. All right, let's see here. Funny how Black women defend at the expense of their daughters. Are you talking about the Cardi B stuff? Yeah, there's nothing empowering about being a hooker and a hoe. I mean, unless you know what it is. Like, if you know you're a hooker and a hoe and that's how you make your money, I'm not going to judge you. I mean, the world needs good hoes. The world needs hookers. The world needs, strippers, right? Strippers, there's a whole market for strippers, but I don't want my daughters to be strippers, and I don't want my daughters to think that being a stripper is the same as being Michelle Obama. I don't want my daughters to think that. So I think that, and also I don't want my daughters exposed to too much sexuality before they're ready, because then next thing you know, you got a 6-year-old who's been listening to music that's teaching her how to suck a man's penis. And then by the time she's 12, she thinks she's ready. And then she ends up dating some 22-year-old and ends up doing stuff that only grown women are supposed to be doing. And then next thing you know, you're yelling at black men saying, why didn't y'all protect her? Why didn't y'all protect her from the predators? Well, fuck, we tried to protect her because we didn't want her to be exposed to that shit when she was 7. But now you up here trying to blame us because the little girls are out here thinking they grown at the age of 12. No, the real black men in the community and the real black women in the community are trying to protect the children with preventative maintenance. They're trying to say, like, let these kids have a damn childhood. Don't be teaching them about stripper culture when they're in the 2nd grade. Like, they're going to learn. They're going to figure it out. We know this, right? This is life. But they shouldn't be talking about these things when they are 7. And you shouldn't be acting like that's normal. You shouldn't be acting like that's a type of empowerment. Or like these people like Charlize Theron and Dwayne Wade. All these parents got these kids where they're like, my son is a girl and he's 4. He's fucking 4. He doesn't know shit. Like, let him be a boy until one day he's 12 and he's like, you know what? I just realized that I like dolls and I want to put on a dress and I'm attracted to boys. Then you work with that. But don't be changing their gender when they're in preschool. Like, that is sick. That's a mental illness. That makes you an abuser, damn near like a molester as far as I'm concerned, because you shouldn't be messing and toggling with your child's sexuality when they are 5 or 6 years old. That's really sick. That's something that you learn from your oppressor. That's not, I don't think that's how black people operate. No lockdowns. I agree. I think we should just wear a mask and wash our hands and keep it moving. Is there such a thing as a good option on the stock market? A good option? I don't know what you mean by a good option. I apologize. I wish I understood that question. Registered behavioral therapy for our kids. What are your thoughts? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know anything about behavioral. I mean, I'm going to ask Alicia. She's a therapist. Maybe she can tell me what it is. Who am I voting for? I'm voting for black people until I get somebody else to vote for. What are your thoughts on the verdict of the Ahmaud Arbery shooting? I didn't see the verdict. I got to go look it up. I didn't know if there was a verdict. So thank you for telling me. You will make more money on good investment. Yeah, don't depend on integration and jobs from white people to help you get ahead economically. Neither one of those methods has proven to actually work. And both of those methods will leave you as a broke slave. So if you don't want to be a broke slave, learn how to be an investor. Get your kids, in on investing. Investing's real basic in the sense that there's really 3 ways rich people make money. They make money through the stock market, which has been making a killing. I mean, if you're a stock market investor, you've been doing this consistently. You could never convince me that you don't have a bank account full of money, because the stock market has been raining money even before COVID began. The second is real estate. We should own everything we can get our hands on. And then third is starting businesses. We should be the most maniacal entrepreneurs in the history of the world. Like, we should be absolutely determined to start businesses just so we can get away from racist white people. Like, the easiest way to get away from racist white people is to stop working for them, stop chasing them down and begging to live in their neighborhoods and begging them to give you jobs and begging them to let you into their universities. And then you turn around and you complain about how bad they treat you. Well, you're begging for their attention. So of course they're going to pee on you because you're not respecting yourself. You'll beg them to let you in so they can abuse you. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. That's like completely illogical. Let me keep going. Any video games a good investment? Are video games a good investment? Gaming culture is growing. You want to be careful. Now, Shaquille O'Neal has a lot going on in the gaming industry. He's heavily invested there. Shaq is doing a real good job as an investor. I think that there is a market for gaming, but it's not something where you can just easily make a bunch of money. You want to do your research first. Let's see. Get that dental work done, bro. I definitely am, because I want to be healthy dentally. Where are all the single, smart black men? I don't think they're at the club. I met Alicia in the, I did. I met her in the library. I was trying to figure out, was it the library? I know it was the library, but it was in the cafeteria of the library, right? So I met her in the library, and at that time I was 22, she was 19, and she was an undergrad and I was a grad student. And I literally saw her across a crowded room, and she's the prettiest lady I ever saw. And here's what's interesting. So years later, like, we were friends for a really long time. We didn't start dating until years later, but we both independently decided to go get PhDs, right? And now think about this now. Only less than 1% of the population has a PhD. I'm talking about real PhDs, not those like 6-week, 8-week programs people do. I'm talking about like shit where you got to be in school 4, 5, 6 years to get your degree. And also among the black communities, the proportion's even lower. And we both ended up doing that. And I thought back to that and I realized that, you know, it's not totally surprising given that I met her in the library. Like I didn't meet her in the club. I didn't meet her, you know, at a hip hop concert. I met her in the library because we were both in the library for a reason. We were in the library because we felt like that was the best use of our time, right? So I think that maybe whatever you believe in, try to find somebody that you can meet in the same space of whatever thing that you value the most. Like if you love to ski or something, maybe join like a black skiers group or something. Or if you love church, try to meet somebody that's connected to church. You got to be careful about church though, because you got a lot of pimps in the pulpit. You know, and actually there's a lady I saw who wrote an article that called Deb Cooper. She wrote an article called "Does the Black Church Keep Women Single and Lonely?" And I think that there's something to that when you have church where there aren't a lot of straight men in church, and the straight men that are there, some of them can sort of get happy like a kid in a candy store because there's literally so much vagina just floating around, and they can get caught up in bad, crazy situations. You even got pastors out here that are fucking everything that moves. And there's like almost like a hypnotic type of power that a pastor can have over the women that are in the flock. You know, you have a young pastor that's charismatic and intelligent, and some of the women just are like, you know, like hypnotized by that. And you just got to be careful about that in terms of where that lands you in terms of relationships. So I think that when it comes to picking what works for you as a partner, you got to really think about who you are and what you want and make the decision that's going to work best for you. Don't let other people kind of tell you what you should be looking for. Like I've seen women get screwed over big time, you know, when they're going to church and their pastor's telling them you can only date a man who goes to church, when half the guys in the church, you know, are pieces of shit. You know, not all of them, but some of them are. And, you know, so she might meet a nice man who doesn't go to church. A lot of good men don't go to church. Like I think I'm a good man, but I just didn't go to church, you know. And I remember dating a couple of women actually who said, you know, I can't date you because you don't go to church. And I was like, what? I'm a good person. Like, what the fuck does me going to church have to do with me treating you well? I know guys who go to church who will lie to you, cheat on you, beat your ass, whatever. And it just didn't register. It was almost like an indoctrination kind of thing. And I think that whenever you're letting somebody control your mind, you're in trouble. So I encourage you to break the rules when you have to, because, you know, one of the women that I know, very pretty young lady she was, and she really wanted to have kids and get married. And now I think she's in her 40s and now, you know, her childbearing years are behind her. And I think she missed all that, kind of waiting around for these church guys to kind of give her what she was looking for. And none of them came through. But that's just my 2 cents. I'm not talking down on the church or anything like that. I'm just telling you, you know, think for yourself. I'm a big believer in that. Why don't we speak about looking other parties besides the left or right? Oh, yeah, I agree. We should have our own political party. Absolutely. You good, Brother Boyce? Keep up the great work. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that, Aubrey. I'm scared if he loses. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. I don't. Why do they put blacks in a position to just be renters? I don't think they put us in that position. I think that we choose that sometimes, you know. I think, for example, desire is a big deal. You know, like if you really want something, like if you really want to own property, you'll find a way to do it. Like I know people, I have a friend who happens to be from the Caribbean, and, you know, when he was a renter, he couldn't take it. He was only making $15 an hour. He said, I cannot be a renter forever because I feel like being a renter is crazy. And so he just basically buckled down and saved his money. He sacrificed, you know, the same way a black kid sacrifices so he could be a great basketball player. Like nothing's going to stop him from getting to the basketball court. No matter how far away it is, no matter how cold it is, no matter how bad his basketball is, he's going to find a way to get to that court because he desires that court. I've seen kids, you know, go out of their way because they really, really feel like they have to have a nice iPhone, or they got to have some fresh kicks, or they got to have, you know, whatever, right? Right? They got to have the Gucci bag, right? So we should want to own property the same way we desire basketball or Gucci bags, right? If you have desire for something, you will find a way to obtain it. So this idea that white people force us to be renters, I don't buy into that. That's not true. We know the white man can be a bastard. There's no question about it. But my belief in terms of black accountability means that you see your environment around you. Part of that is on you to adjust to that and to take advantage of the opportunities that are there for you. You can't just blame everything on other people for your entire life. There are plenty of people that will allow you to sit in a pool of your own victimhood, and will congratulate you for that. But that's not going to help you take care of your family. It's not going to help you take care of your kids. Hey, Dr. Boyce, with mortgage interest rates lowest, would you recommend consolidating debt into your mortgage? I'm sure. Why not? I mean, if you can save money on the interest rate, absolutely. What's your take on crypto? Crypto's a long-term play for me. I am a crypto investor, a very big one, but I just own it. It's buy and hold for me. I'm not doing any major moves. I have a bunch of stocks that I like that are bringing like 10-cent dividends. What would you recommend to put my money into bringing big dividends? Well, you can look up the stocks that have the highest dividends, like Chevron and stuff like that. I think Microsoft's dividend, I think Microsoft has a good dividend. I may be wrong about that, but I know Chevron does. But there's other companies out there too. So you can literally look up stocks that have the highest dividend yields. You can also look into writing options. We actually have an options investing program if you want to learn a little bit about that. Just go to blackoptionsinvesting.com. That's blackoptionsinvesting.com. The first month is $1. Men don't answer that dumb question about teeth. Let's keep it real. Oh, don't answer that. Yeah, well, I know people are going to ask because I'm talking a little bit funny. I'm talking like Sylvester the Cat or Elmer Fudd, so I'm spitting a little bit. I don't mean to. Good thing y'all ain't in here because I might actually spit on you. I don't want to. But I'm trying to learn how. I learned it has to do with where you place your tongue when you talk. So I'm trying to practice talking different. So it's an adjustment process. Plus my bone is growing, right? So it's a long process. It's tough because I talk a lot. And I was like, well, maybe I should just not talk for 6 weeks, but I can't do that. Y'all know I can't do that. So it is what it is. This is who I am. So I might as well be honest about it. And maybe some of you will think about, looking into your own dental health. So maybe I can actually help you. Do you think that they should stop producing guns or mass producing bullets? Yeah, America has more guns than people. That's why you have so much chaos here, so much gun violence, is because they have so many guns. That's one of the pitfalls of capitalism. We make too many guns. It's terrible. When's the next time you'll be in Charlotte? I don't know, when the pandemic's over. Before the pandemic, I was going to go because I really want to. Alicia has a good friend there. And also, I haven't done any events in Charlotte. But I will do an event in Charlotte. Charlotte is literally near the top of my list of places that I haven't been to that I really want to go to. I'm looking into some Tesla stock. Yeah, I like Tesla a lot. Tesla's been making a lot of money for me lately. What are your thoughts on Chase? You're talking about Chase, JP Morgan Chase and the $30 billion they said they're going to commit to the racial wealth gap. It ain't going to fucking move the needle. These corporations aren't really going to solve significant problems for black people, in my opinion, because they're not even talking to the right people. They're just not. I'm not blowing my own horn on any level, but think about this. I'm a black finance PhD. PhDs in finance are very, very rare, even among white people. And I have my finger on the pulse of the black community. I talk to black people every single day. I have a deep, I'm probably the world's leading expert on the racial wealth gap and what black people need economically to achieve economic equality. Not one of these corporations ever reaches out to people like me to talk about these things, I guess because I'm seen as dangerous or radical or marginalized. I don't know. I talk to a million people a week. Because I'm probably one of the strongest black financial influencers on the planet. I don't really care if they call me or not. I just know that you can't solve the problem if you're not talking to the right people. Like if I'm trying to fix my plumbing and I keep calling the dentist to fix my plumbing, then I'm never going to have good plumbing. So I don't really think they're serious about solving the problem. And I don't even care if they talk to me or not. I truly don't. I kid you not. I really don't. In fact, I almost dread when I get calls from mainstream media because I don't feel like they're ready for me. I feel like I'm about 20 or 30 years ahead of my time. Like maybe in 20 or 30 years, they'll talk to people like me, but 2020, they're just not ready because I believe that what we're doing is 2040 shit. This is 2050 shit, 2060 shit. And that's something that I'm confident in because I understand financial theory at a very high level. So I don't think it's going to make a big difference. I think it's going to be white people doing, engaging in a feel-good exercise so they can have a little less white guilt. And I don't think that's going to be your primary solution. What's one thing we can get from Black America's contract? There's a lot of stuff in there. I congratulated Ice Cube and his team on putting together something that I thought was well thought out. Is it perfect? Probably not. And what I love, here's why, Cube and I connected. you know, and I guess I'm going to go and take the liberty of saying that we're friends, and it's cool, right? Like I loved Ice Cube music. He was my favorite rapper. It's like, wow, this is so cool. Ice Cube, I've known him for, you know, as an artist for such a long time, and I knew his politics pretty well, because as an artist, artists tend to pour who they are into their music. So because I listened to his album all the way back to Death Certificate and NWA stuff and everything else, I knew kind of what kind of person he might be, but you're never really sure. And when we just started talking, it was like we had been friends for a long time. And what I like about his approach to solving this problem was he didn't come into it. He understood the leverage he can bring, but he didn't come into it as an arrogant celebrity who thinks he knows all the answers. He came into it with an understanding that, you know, I need to connect with people that really understand this problem. I need to dig into this on a grassroots level so I can make sure that I'm actually getting results with this. I'm not just gonna come in and just say, well, because I'm Ice Cube, I know all the answers. And so I really liked the way he approached it. And his goal was to present the document to people that he respected and he'd seen, so that he could get feedback, so that he could incorporate whatever needs to be incorporated. So I think what my impression is that if someone came to him and said, hey, you forgot about this, or you should have done that, I think he would consider that. I think he'd say, okay, that's a good thought. Like, maybe we can add that in there too. So I like it. I thought it was good. I thought it was one of the few things. I don't really, if you notice, I don't really get behind a lot of stuff a lot of the celebrities do, because I don't think a lot of them are really in touch with the issue. I enjoyed, I didn't mind talking to Kanye West, but I didn't feel the same way when I talked to Kanye that I felt when I talked to Cube. I felt like Kanye's heart might be in the right place, but unfortunately Kanye and I are not the same type of guy, because Kanye really loves Kanye a lot. And I'm not into that so much. But I liked him. Like I like the fact that he respects somebody I respect. He respects Dr. Claude Anderson immensely. And if you respect Dr. Anderson, then we're cool, you know. But Ice Cube and Charlemagne are the two guys that impress me the most, because they have reach that I don't have. They can reach people I can't reach. And that's why I think working together is really helping us achieve something. I think you're seeing kind of the emergence of the black man again, in a really wonderful way. Like, I think the black man is kind of like walking in and saying, Daddy's home. Like, we're in this conversation. We're going to butt in. And if you don't like it, then fuck you. And I think every black man watching can take pride in this and just know, like this is the template now. Like, we are back, right? And I think black women can get excitement from just seeing their men go out there and do what men do. So I'm a big believer in that, and I hope that you can agree with me on that, or at least hear me out. How do I get started in stock? Go to firstshareofstock.com, Samuel. Just go to firstshareofstock.com. That is, there's a free training there that you can take a look at, where I show you how to buy your first share of stock, and I break it down for you in that training. Firstshareofstock.com. Let's see. What about looking at other parties besides just the right or left, and withholding our votes? I think that's okay. I think you should do what's best for you. Just think it through and make the decision that works best for you. Don't let anybody talk you out of doing you. Seriously, like so many people have so much invested in telling black people what to do. Don't let them do that to you. They have no right to tell you what to do. I don't do polls. People in the media lying. That is so true. They really lie. The media, I've never seen the media lie like this. It's kind of insane. When do you think the market will crash? Nobody knows. I know that if they don't get a stimulus pass, that's probably going to hit the market pretty hard. But the thing about crashes is that crashes can be the best times to make money. I mean, a lot of people, like a lot of my students, for example, started investing heavily during COVID when the COVID crash took place, because that's what I told them. I don't tell people what to do. I'm an advisor, but I'm not giving investment advice in the sense of saying, here's what I want you to do. I just tell people what I'm doing. And so when COVID happened, I just dove in and just started buying everything. And I told people what I was doing. And the people who did that, they did pretty well. Are you interested in being a part of up-and-coming podcasts? Maybe. I don't know, man. I get so tired. I don't like to do a lot of interviews and stuff. But I'll support you. If you send me the link, I'll share it. What contributed the most to the racial wealth gap in the U.S.? I think student loan debt is huge. Student loan debt, think about this. Every year, Black people give billions of dollars away to big white universities that are overcharging them for a college degree. Like that right there. And many of our smartest, best, and brightest Black people, the ones who are supposed to close the wealth gap, actually increase the wealth gap because they die in debt. If you go to college and you have so much debt that you can't repay it and you die in debt, then game over, you lost. Like we're going backward. Right, you're not helping. It's like having LeBron James on your basketball team, but he puts all his buckets in the wrong basket. Like that's kind of what the Black elite have done. Also, they don't have the right skills necessary to create the income levels that will allow for the wealth gap to be closed. For the wealth gap to close, we need millions of Black people that are intent on becoming entrepreneurs and job creators. Because if you have a lot of job creators, then you're not just helping yourself, you're helping other people. So rather than just being a Negro with a fancy degree and a fancy job working for some white person, you're a CEO, you're a boss of a small company that can go employ a couple of dozen Black people. So instead of improving your life, you've improved the lives of a couple dozen people. And on top of that, you've probably skewed out to what they call the long tail of income levels. There's a lot of entrepreneurs, like I don't know too many employees other than NBA players and NFL players who make more than, say, $10,000, $15,000 a month, maybe $20,000 a month, $30,000 a month if they're really lucky. I know a lot of entrepreneurs who make $100,000 a month. I know a lot of entrepreneurs with businesses that you'll never hear about that make an amount of money that you'll never get from a job. All right. So one of the reasons why we push our kids on entrepreneurship is no matter what they major in, I say, okay, make sure you know how to start a business. Make sure you know how to start a business. Make sure you know how to invest. Like no matter what they do, I say, oh, you want to be an actress? Okay, well, make sure you know how to start a business and invest so you can be like Tyler Perry or whatever, make your own movies. The other one is more of a doctor, lawyer, engineer type person. I say, okay, well, whatever you do, that's fine. Just make sure you know how to start a business and invest so that maybe you can run your own law firm. The oldest one wants to be an engineer. I said, okay, well, that's great. Just make sure you know how to be an entrepreneur and invest so that maybe you can become like Elon Musk or something and start a company and make a few $1 million a year as opposed to just making, a couple $100,000, right? Entrepreneurship is like a little lottery ticket that you give yourself where it may not cash out. You may not blow up. The big money may never come. Maybe you don't have maybe you choose the wrong industry. Maybe you go about it the wrong way. Maybe you can't find the right resources. Maybe you give up too early. Giving up too early is big. People who don't give up tend to become very successful at some point because they keep learning, they keep getting better. But whatever, right? But if it does work out, if the switch hits, then you suddenly get exposed to this whole reality that you never knew was there. I can speak to that. I once was a successful Negro. I used to be a real successful Negro. And let me tell you about when I used to be a successful Negro. I got a PhD in finance. I was the only Black man in America to get a PhD in finance in the year 2002. I was hot shit. I was a big deal. Everybody knew about me because all the universities that claimed to seek diversity were all calling my dissertation advisor to find out if I was a fit for their faculty. So I got my first job and I was making more money than I ever made in my life. I was making about $115,000 a year, which was big money back in 2001. It's still big money now. It's still pretty good now. So I had this job where I was a successful Negro and I was working at Syracuse University. And my check every month was maybe about $10,000 a month. You take out taxes, maybe I have $6,000 or $7,000 left. I thought that I'd come close to the peak. I thought I'd sort of seen the mountaintop, So I thought maybe, and in fact, actually, when I came to Syracuse University, I didn't know why. There were some white people that were actually kind of jealous of me, and I didn't know why. And in hindsight, I know why now. When I came into Syracuse, because I was supposed to actually go to a better school, I just chose Syracuse because they actually made the first offer because I wanted to make money. I was the highest paid assistant professor on the entire campus, and I made more money than all the associate professors, and I wasn't even an associate professor. Associate professors are people that have tenure. I made more money than all the associates who already got the promotion that I hadn't even got yet. Like, that's how much hot shit that I was. So the thing was, though, I didn't know. Like, I thought that maybe the best I could ever get was maybe my income would increase by 50% by the time I retired. But then when I became an entrepreneur, I started seeing real money. And I'm not going to tell you, I don't want to get into specifics about how much money I made and all that stuff, but I can tell you that, like I got to see things that I never thought I'd see. Like what's it like to make $500,000 in a month or whatever. Right. So what I'm saying to you is give your kids that chance, like give them that lottery ticket, just put them in a program or something where they can learn like how to start a business so that at least maybe they can at least know what the big dream really is. Because now, the life I live now, if I went back in time 20 years ago, and wrote down what my wildest dreams were, the life I have now is not just beyond my wildest dreams. It's a dream that was so wild that I didn't even have that dream back then. I didn't even dream big enough to even have the dream of living the life that I live right now. I didn't know that, 20 years later, I would be, first of all, making 10 times more money than most professors make. I would be talking to 1 million people a week, on a network that's completely owned by me, where I do whatever the fuck I want. I didn't know that I will have been on CNN 200 or 300 times, more times than I can count. Like, you can show me, now think about this. It's a big deal for most people to be on national TV one time. Like, it happens once, it's a huge deal. You remember for the rest of your life. I remember that feeling. I remember when a friend of a friend was on national TV, and we all talked about it because it was such a big deal that this guy was on national TV. I've been on national TV so many times that you could show me a clip of me on national TV and I'll be like, oh, damn, I forgot about that. Right? That's how many times, I've gone to cities around the world and that I've never been to, where I know not one single person in that city, and have people stop me on the street. Like, that's pretty, I sat with kings and queens and amazing people. I didn't know that this was even doable. I didn't even know that was even out there. And I didn't even open the door to this whole other reality until I just really started becoming comfortable being myself. When I really said, you know what? I don't really want to do this other bullshit that's over here. Like, you got this little fucking cookie cutter life that you carved out for me as a black man. I got to jump outside of this box for me to really find myself. So I just got, it's like you're driving down the road and you're on the freeway and there's a lot of traffic, it's congested, the road is long. And then you're like, fuck this, I'm getting off the highway. I'm going to drive through the fucking grass. I'm going to go through the woods. I'm going to take this back road. And then next thing you know, you've discovered shit that you never would have seen if you had been given the path that you asked for. So what I learned is that sometimes in life, God really blesses you by taking away the thing that you want the most. Like, sometimes you really want something and you think that that's really what's for you and that's what you really want. And I'll do anything to have that right there. And a lot of times the reason you want that right there is because you haven't seen all the other shit that's out there. It happens all the time, like in relationships. You love somebody and you really think you want them and you're crying like, boo-hoo, please come back. And you don't realize that somebody better for you is out there. And you have to be, you have to have your umbilical cord cut. Like, your addiction to that person in front of you is distracting you from what's really for you. So my addiction to white supremacy was distracting me from my opportunity to have black excellence, right? So a lot of times that's what happens. We have an addiction to white supremacy, and that distracts us from the pursuit of black excellence. You can't pursue black excellence if you're addicted to white supremacy. An addiction to white supremacy is when a white man draws some cookie cutter life you're supposed to have, where you go to school and work hard and get a good job working for a white man, and you can't even see all the other great things that might be in store for you. So I think you should go for it, man. I'm a big believer in going for it. That's my 2 cents. And give your kids the courage to do it too. Are you interested in being part? Okay, you already asked about the podcast. Okay. What the racial wealth gap? Did you hear about the Solutionary Summit in Atlanta? No, I did not. What do you think about Globus Maritime stock? I know nothing about that company. I apologize. What happens to the stock market if Biden wins? It'll go up if there's a blue wave. There'll be a big stimulus package that'll boost the stock market. They always take care of companies and investors. Why do the Republicans' talking point of supporting the Republican Party is only based upon the economy? They never talk about social injustice. I think the Republicans have a different view of social justice than the Democrats do, and I think that is a legitimate critique of the party. The Republican Party, they kind of want to believe that everybody, if they would just work hard and do what they're supposed to do, great things are going to happen. And we know that that's not really true in America. Also, the Republicans tend to believe police don't make any mistakes. And I think that I wish that they would kind of let go of some of those ideas, and it might make it easier for us to consider being a Republican. But I can't consider it because they've got some hard, like rigid views that I can't agree with and I can't align with, because I do believe in social programs. I do believe that that the government should play some role in helping people. And the Republicans believe that too. They just believe government should help like corporations. They don't believe government should help like poor people or homeless people and stuff like that. I can't ride with the Democrats though, because the Democrats are too hell-bent on labeling me as a disabled black man before I even have a chance to actually go accomplish anything. Like, they're too caught up in black trauma and black weakness, and that we need a protector. There's nothing I hear from the Democrats that empowers me and gives me pride as a black man. Like, I don't feel empowered when you know, are telling black women that they don't need us, and that that fathers shouldn't be in the home, and that, you know, we should abort our babies whenever we want to, and just all this other stuff that I just can't co-sign on. You know, like if you watch Joe Biden's ad for black people, it was all built on black fear. It was all built on this fear of black people being killed by a racist or being killed by coronavirus, right? And these are manufactured fears, in my opinion, not because these things aren't real, not because black people aren't dying from corona, and not because black people don't get shot by the cops. But if I'm not mistaken, only less than 50 black people a year get shot by the cops, get killed by the cops, right? So I'm not saying that that's not an issue, but I think that you're focusing on one issue and ignoring the bigger issue. The bigger issue is that Joe Biden put 100,000 black men in prison when he wrote that crime bill, right? That's the bigger issue for me. The bigger issue is the criminal justice system, not just the police shootings that you celebrate in the media. So I see those as being places where they treat black people like abused hookers. Like if a pimp is trying to get an abused hooker's attention, he'll trigger her with a trauma. Like he'll take, like if she's been raped over and over again, he'll say, "I'll protect you from the rapist," you know. Or if she gets her ass beat every Tuesday, he's like, I'll only beat your ass once a month. I won't beat your ass every Tuesday, right? Right. And I think that for black people, I think that because they see you as being less than, they see you as being sort of, you know, this broken, busted up, shitty ass community that's downtrodden, that can't do anything on your own. They say, well, don't worry, we'll protect you. We'll be a good pimp, and we're not going to let the bad pimps come get you, but you better do what the fuck I say. So that means that if we want your children to have a better education, but because we don't respect you, we wouldn't dare even consider the fact that maybe you can educate your own kids. Instead, we'll do it for you so that your kids can be like us. Or we know that you people need money and you need resources. So rather than empowering you to have your own businesses, because my God, why would we think that you could do that? You're stupid and you don't have any men in your community. So instead, we'll just create more jobs. So because clearly we should be the ones who are running the ship. I mean, we all agree that white people are better, that white is superior, that white supremacy is the way to be, right? So because I am a white supremacist who happens to be a liberal, I'm going to pretty much tell you what to do, what to say, who to talk to, and how to think. That's why, for example, you had the black cop in Portland who talked about how during the protest, he said, every time I try to talk to a black person, a white liberal will get between us and say, don't talk to him, don't talk to him. And he was like, who the fuck are you to tell him who they can talk to? So I'm a believer in freedom. Freedom just means you do what you want to do. Freedom means we're smart enough to drive the ship, to build the ship, to own the ship, and to make decisions that involve the ship. If white people want to help, then give us the money you owe us and get the fuck out of the way. Like seriously, like if you gathered all the smartest black educators together and gave them $20 billion, they could build a school system for black children that is superior to the school system that we already have in place right now. Now, the reason they don't want to do that, though, is because you're asking them to do something that human beings don't typically want to do. You're asking them to share power. People do not want to share power. They just don't. Like, it's very hard to get them. Why would white teachers who have so much invested in their teachers unions want to give all that up? They're making billions of dollars writing textbooks so they can miseducate black kids with these books. They're making billions of dollars running the schools where they get to be the principal, they get to be the superintendent. Why would they give all that up to truly empower black people? Well, because that's not really their goal, right? Their goal is to enlist you in their army so they can achieve political power. That's why, for example, when politicians talk, the number one thing they talk about, they never talk about the things black people ask for. Like black people will say, well, why don't we talk about reparations? They literally, it goes in one ear and out the other. They act like they didn't even hear you bring up reparations. But what do they talk about the most? They tend to talk about things like voting rights. You didn't ask them about voting rights. You didn't bring it up. You know, you didn't say, hey, on the list of agenda items I have on the black agenda, voting rights is number one. You didn't say that. They said that. Well, why is that the first topic that comes off their lips? Well, because voting rights don't give you power. Voting rights gives them power. Voting rights is like if I run a store and I say, I'm going to get money put in your pocket as long as you spend the money at my store. So I'm going to fight for you to get that check that you're going to sign over to me as soon as you get it. So I'm not really empowering you, because if you take that check and you spend it at the store down the street, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to dog you out. As much as I claim to love you, I'm going to talk crazy shit about you because you're making your own decision. But instead, as long as you do what you're supposed to do, which is take the check that I get for you, sign it over to me, I will make sure that you're getting paid every single day of the week. Well, because getting you paid means I get paid. So they want you to have voting rights because you're going to vote for them. If you decided, like, if you ever want to test white people and how much they really hate you, but actually hate you, go and a great experiment would be to say, okay, we want to have a big voting rights campaign, and we want to get people souls to the polls, but we're telling all black people to vote for the other party this time. All black people are going to vote, or better yet, black people are just going to vote their conscience. We're going to have them get equal time. They're going to hear about the policies from the Republicans. They're going to hear the policies from the Democrats, and we're going to get everybody to the polls. Some of them, half of them are going to vote Republican, half are going to vote Democrat. The Democratic Party wouldn't be pushing you to go to the polls at that point. They wouldn't be pushing for your voting rights at that point, right? So, but here's the thing. That's human nature. You know, human nature says people tend to just do what's best for them, right? So I don't necessarily get mad about it as much as I claim that you should try to understand that, right? Just try to understand that so that you'll stop sort of thinking that whether or not that what matters is whether they like you or not. They don't like you. They just pretend to like you, right? So that's what it is. That's my 2 cents. All right, let me see. Trump sold millions of dollars in stock for his campaign. Yeah, he did. I was really surprised by that. I thought Trump was more invested than he was. And let's not forget, though, he's got family members invested. He's got, tons of money in trusts. His children, his children have a lot of money invested. So don't think that Trump doesn't make money when the stock market goes up. I don't believe that. Let's see here. You're looking good. How much more you lose? I have lost about 9 pounds. My voice is different because I'm getting used to the dental work. It's going to take a while for my jaw to expand. How's Dr. Anderson doing? He's doing better. Thank you for asking. He will be there for the PowerNomics Masterclass. That starts on the 15th. You can go to PowerNomicsMasterclass.com if you'd like to join, PowerNomicsMasterclass.com. How much will you charge to do an hour podcast? I don't know. Email producer@flynubianmedia.com. 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 And she can work it out. But it's not about the money. It's really about the time. My time is kind of limited. But she's very nice. She'll hear everything. You said the market's going to crash. When do you think it will crash? There's no way it's really hard to predict it. It's going to crash at some point, though. It always crashes. There's talking points are based on a major current problem in the country, jobs in the pandemic, not social justice. I agree. Yeah, Republicans tend to be more economically oriented. I don't think there's, I'm going to tell you, I don't think there's anything wrong with focusing on economics. I really think black people should focus on economics a lot more. I really do. If a person has money in their pocket, then a lot of social justice issues get fixed with money. They just do. You can get your politicians elected. You can, you can deal with stuff with the police and all that stuff. If you have money in your community, like the police, think about this. How often have the police shot down a black man who was from a wealthy neighborhood? Like, or how often have, think about this. Like the police, the predators that some of them can be, they tend to go after people that are just vulnerable. You live in a poor neighborhood, or you're by yourself, or you're under the influence or something like that. So you'll never hear about like police officers shooting like a member of the Nation of Islam while he's walking with other Muslim brothers. Like that's not going to happen because they know that there will be significant consequences for that kind of behavior. Or shooting a black person who's from a neighborhood where there's a strong sense of community and stuff like that. It's not to say that poor people don't deserve protection, but it does say that there is something that must be stated about sort of awareness, and it's like the brother down in Texas that got killed by the security guard. I don't even think he got killed by a cop. I think it was a security guard. Well, this brother loved white people, and he was, he loved white women, and, he did all this other stuff. And so I feel like people like that, unfortunately, it doesn't mean that it's bad that he liked white women. I'm not judging that. I'm just saying that there's some people who will have their guard down more than others. Or like a black man who's high and drunk all the time. I'm very much against black men engaging in lots of drugs and alcohol. I'm not the only one. Malcolm X used to talk about this all the time, because when you're high and drunk, you're vulnerable. You know, that's how your enemies can get you, is when you're drunk. A lot of gangsters get killed because they just wait for them to get drunk, or they wait for them to let their guard down. So maybe they lure them in with a woman or something like that. So when I saw what happened to George Floyd, and he was under the influence, and you have the other brother down in Atlanta that was under the influence, I'm not judging them. I'm not saying that they don't have a right to do whatever they're going to do. I'm just saying that you're never going to see me. I don't drink, and I don't drink because I want to be aware. I want to be alert. You're not going to hear about Dr. Boyce got shot in the club because he had too much Cristal and got into a fight with another dude. Like those are stupid situations, in my opinion. Not dismissing or disrespecting anybody that's ever been victimized. We all make mistakes, but it's like we need real talk amongst black men about what it means to be a soldier, what it means to be prepared, what it means to be on guard, what it means to be ready. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready, because when you ain't ready, believe me, they always ready. They're always watching. So you got to be ready. Anyway, let me keep going. Let's see. Blue, black, blocker. Okay, I don't know what that means, but native black. Let's see. I want to be my own boss. I want to be registered behavioral therapist for our kids. Our kids need more behavioral therapy. I do agree with that. Absolutely. PowerNomics course. Yeah, that's PowerNomicsMasterclass.com. I don't know pilottrading.co. I'll take a look. How can I make money? How can I move my money from Robinhood? You can just do it. You can either sell your assets and put the money somewhere else, or you can just call them, and they have a way that you can process. You got to fill out some paperwork, though. They don't make it easy. They don't make it easy. Just be ready for that. But you can't get your money. Watch those white agents, though. Absolutely. Well, yeah, agents are everywhere. I mean, I don't let a lot of people get really close to me really fast. I just don't. Maybe I'm overly paranoid, but I just don't. Like if you come and you work in my organization, I might not talk to you for a year. And if I do talk to you, it's because I've talked to other people about you to know what kind of person you are. You have to keep your distance, in the sense of kind of like, you want to minimize your vulnerabilities. So, yeah, so that's it. That's my 2 cents. How do you feel about ticker box, the box light? I don't know that. I don't know anything about that. I'm sorry. From a young black man, thank you for being a father figure for me. From afar, I learned a lot from you, and it was really needed in my life. All right, Bomb Kid. Well, I'm very proud of you, man. I'm very proud of you for listening. A lot of young people don't realize how much advantage you can have just by listening, like listening to older people. Like, I know sometimes we might talk a lot or whatever, but a lot of people have already gone through what you've gone through. And a lot of older people can tell you stories that will give you perspectives that will help you avoid learning the hard way. So young people who listen just tend to do better than those who don't. So keep listening, man. I think that's very smart of you. Don't let anybody tell you what to do. You got to make your own decision, right? So sometimes when it comes to making a decision, only you know what you need, and only you know what you really want. But you take in a lot of information so you can figure out what's out there and what's going to really work for you. And then you make the final decision. Don't let older people decide your life for you, but use them as advisors to give you information that you need so you can make good decisions. Let's see here. I was wondering if you got new teeth. Yeah, I'm in the middle of some dental stuff. I guess I got to keep saying that about every 10 minutes, huh? How can I start with $5? If you open up a Robinhood account, you can start investing with $5, Acorns too. Go to firstshareofstock.com. That's firstshareofstock.com. Do you know any black ABA therapists anywhere? There's a company called Ready, Set, Grow. My friend Estia Brown, she runs that company. So that might be a good place to go look at it. It's called Ready, Set, Grow. What about looking at other parties? Okay, you'll see it. What broker do you recommend for beginners? I like Acorn, Stash, and Robinhood. Let's see here. Okay, let's see. How do you feel about, okay, you already asked about that. What about, okay, some good people died, just saying. I agree. And I think that the coronavirus situation is hard to talk about because it's emotional for a lot of people. And people get offended if you say something that's not consistent with the existing narrative. But I'm offended by, about 30 million people losing their jobs. Like, I'm offended by all the young people who are depressed and suicidal because we took away their youth for nothing. I'm offended by all the people that have been evicted from their homes, all the people that are going to die from not, because they're scared to go to the doctor. I'm offended by the old people who are going to die alone because they're scared to see their grandkids. So if people are offended by what I say, then we'll just all have to be fucking offended, because 99.9% of us are going to survive the virus. And if you're really concerned about death, like if you really care about black people dying, where were you when all those black people being shot up in the hood? Every week, black people being shot up like crazy in Chicago, and there was no conversation from the Obamas where they were having long candlelight vigils for all the little black babies being shot up. Nobody gave a fuck. People only care now, not because they care, but because it's political. Because now we have selective empathy. We have very selective empathy. We're so empathetic over a 91-year-old who died from the coronavirus, even though they could have died from the flu. But we had no empathy when a 16-year-old girl was shot in the head in the middle of a drive-by in the south side of Chicago. So stop that shit. Just stop it. It's stupid. Or you have all this empathy over, 20 people that died from corona. But back when I was talking about obesity, heart disease, and things that kill hundreds of thousands of black people, nobody gave a shit. Everybody got mad at me because they thought I was fat shaming Lizzo when I said maybe we shouldn't mass market obesity. Maybe it's okay to be obese. It's okay to be fat. And my God, I mean, why would you hate a person just for being fat? But stop acting like that is body positivity. That is not body positivity. That is body negativity. And so we should love people enough to say, this can kill you. If a coronavirus comes along and you are heavily overweight and you eating fried chicken every damn day because you want to be like Lizzo and you think that twerking with your jelly rolls is cute, well, then guess what? That virus is going to come looking for you first. That virus goes after people that do not take care of their health. So it does not say that the virus does not matter, but stop that shit. Stop that whole like, oh, you're not sensitive or you don't care. No, you don't care. You're not sensitive, because all the times I've talked about all the ways black people are dying, you did not listen. You did not care. You're mad because I can't get focused on 200,000 deaths when I was telling you about 1 million deaths, and you didn't have anything to say until white people started talking about it on CNN. Okay, anyway. Take a screenshot. Okay. Love Ice Cube's courage and spirit. Me too. Do you ever go to the hood and teach or lecture? Yes, I do. I've done that many times. My point is, it's not a hoax. Absolutely not. It's not a hoax. It's real. But there's a lot of things killing people. They just don't talk about it. Have you ever like talked to kids, like young people, like maybe young gay guys on the street in like Atlanta? Have you ever had a conversation with people like that are in that culture, in that space, and where they might have told you that HIV is everywhere? Like in that group, not ostracizing them, just giving you facts. Like HIV is so common that damn near everybody has it. If your friend does not have it, then you think there's something wrong about that. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know? I don't know if y'all knew that or not. And a lot of them, get it when they're maybe 14, 15, 16 years old from some 40-year-old man who fucks everything that moves. And this is real. This is happening. This is happening right there in front of you. Your daughters are going to go to Spelman. And I heard a story about a young girl who went to Spelman, and she had a boyfriend, and she got an infection, and she went to the doctor, and the doctor looked in her vagina, and he said, you have feces in your vagina. She said, that's gross. How the hell did I get feces in my vagina? Well, it's because her boyfriend was raw dogging another dude right before he would go see her at her dorm. So she had feces inside her vagina because this man was having sex with men and women at the same time. Like, these are real stories. This is real stuff. This is actually really happening. But, you don't know about it because they're not talking about it on CNN. Because if you talk about it, then you're homophobic, and Don Lemon ain't going to bring that up, right? But the reality is that there's many things out here that can kill you. There's many things out here. So that's why I'm just telling you that you have to learn to think for yourself so you know how to protect yourself from all vulnerabilities and not just the ones that are most advertised by white people. All right, let me keep going. How do you feel about Chase commitment? I don't think it's going to do much of anything, but I think it's nice. I mean, it's better than nothing. Much love and respect for the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. Yes, Farrakhan, one of the true black leaders of our society, one of the black men that I admire the most in this country, in this world. Mortgage consolidation, 3% interest. That's a great idea. That's I like that. Let's see here. Speak on it, professor. Thank you. Dual. I love Dual Victory. She's one of my favorite people. Brainwash his parents. Yep. What are some of the best ways to deal with negative people who criticize you for not voting? Just understand there's a price to pay when you're a leader, not a sheep. When you think for yourself and you do what's best for you, people are going to pressure you. And maybe I have an advantage in dealing with that just because when you're in the public eye and you're on the internet, which is like just filled with all kinds of people, good, bad, and, you know, like smart people, dumb people, nice people, crazy people. Like it's got everything. So you learn how to filter, you know. So I would encourage you to like practice that filtering mechanism, because everybody, no matter what you do, somebody's gonna always have something to say about it. No matter what, you'll never make everybody happy. Don't ever even begin to try to do that. You know, find the things that matter to you and focus on doing your best for those things. You know, you're never going to do it right. You're never going to be perfect. You're going to have people that have something negative to say, and some of them might be right. Sometimes your critics may be, you know, maybe they have a point. Like if I'm a Democrat and somebody criticizes me for being a Democrat, they could be right. But I'm choosing to be a Democrat because in my mind, the good outweighs the bad. Or if I'm a Republican and people criticize me for being a Republican, oh, you're a coon, you this, that, and the other. Well, maybe they're right. Maybe there are some issues with the Republican Party, but maybe because of your values, maybe because you know, abortion is important to you or whatever it is, you're choosing to do that. Do you, period. You know, and I think that's really the key to happiness, because I think if you're living for other people, that's just going to piss you off and make you upset and make you all self-conscious and sad and depressed and all that. So a good exercise is to really practice self-love, like to really learn how to really love yourself. If you really love yourself, you'll be proud of yourself no matter what. You know, like if you like your kids, like you really love your kids, right? So if you love your kids, like your son could go out and murder 20 people, and you might be the only person on earth that still loves your son, but you love him because you know you're gonna care about him no matter what. You're always going to believe in him and want the best for him, right? Even if he makes a horrible mistake or does something terrible. So I think you should love yourself as much as you love your kids or whatever, because you know, sometimes you mess up, sometimes you come up short, sometimes you embarrass yourself, sometimes you do things wrong, but you got to learn how to love yourself through that, so you at least find the energy to try and to keep going. You know, and so one thing that I am glad I have now, I've developed this over time, is, you know, I can forgive myself when I fuck up or when I say something stupid. You know, I might say something that just, you know, that alienates people or pisses people off, but I'll be like, you know what? Boyce is an asshole, but I love that asshole. and as long as I love Boyce, then it's okay. I love Boyce. My woman loves him. My mama loves him. So the haters can kiss my black ass. So there you go. All right. Am I muted? I don't think I'm muted. There are people to get a job so you can do these things. Build our own nation and government. That's not a bad idea. Does your wife do counseling for your students? I am going to involve her in some stuff. We're going to do something on, she's a relationship counselor. So we're going to do something on relationships. Because, you know, I wrote a book called Financial Lovemaking. And we did a film called The Black Love Blueprint. And at some point, we're going to do some more stuff in that area for sure. Do I know of any startup grants or loans? I don't. I'm sorry. I don't apply for grants. I apologize. I had a nightmare that I bought a car for $25K and only had $30K to my name. That's a funny nightmare. America's our nation. We built it. Absolutely. I've been trying to preach to my followers, peers, that simply voting for Joe Biden isn't a victory for black people. Yeah, I don't care who you vote for, because I don't think it's going to make a difference. I mean, you know, when people talk about voting, like there's nothing that will make me just stop talking quicker than if you say, like, if you talk about all the problems for black people and somebody says, well, that's why we need to vote. The reason I don't believe in that solution is not because I think you're stupid or that voting's wrong. It just says, to me, I'm thinking, but we've already been doing that. Like, this is not the first election that black people have voted in. Black people vote in every single election. We voted in the first black man to be president of the United States, the first black family to occupy the Oval Office. It was there because of us. And nothing really changed in a remarkable way, right? So voting isn't going to be the solution. That's why I don't really care who you vote for. I really don't, because I don't think it's going to matter. I think that people that are going to win no matter who's in the White House. People that are going to lose no matter who's in the White House. So voting, telling me that you're a Democrat or a Republican is like you telling me that you love the Dallas Cowboys or you love the Pittsburgh Steelers. Whether you love the Cowboys or the Steelers is not going to change what happens to your children. It's not going to change what happens in your life. What's going to affect your life is little things like, you know, are you getting knowledge on a daily basis? Are you reading things and learning? picking up new skills? Are you making smart moves economically? Investing, maybe starting that family business or whatever. Are you raising your kids right? Your kids look up to you. Are you spending time with them, teaching them the things they need to know in order to be successful? Are you taking care of your health? Are you filling your body up with healthy food, or are you eating more Popeye's chicken, right? Like, I think that those, how are you treating your woman? Like, the relationship I have with my woman is a very important part of my life. That's not going to be affected by who the president is, right? So the presidency to me is more of a distraction. It's more of an exciting drama that we get to watch and kind of get caught up in. We see the fly on Mike Pence's head, or we see, Donald Trump didn't say something crazy or whatever. And I get caught up in it. Like, I love talking about the different parties and the different politicians because I think they're full of shit. But at the end of the day, when I'm making decisions that I believe are really going to affect my life, those people don't even factor into the equation at all. There's nothing about the life of Kamala Harris that's connected to my life as a black man. Shit, because Kamala's ass, we know the track record. Kamala was locking black men up like crazy. So I don't, I don't hate the woman, but she's not my hero. My God, like, if Kamala Harris was my hero, I'd have to be the most self-hating Negro in the history of the world, because Kamala took down a lot of brothers. Kamala's fascinating because Kamala has an issue with black men. Because it starts with her father. She hates her father. Women who hate their father tend to have issues with men that remind them of their father. The same way men, like think to make it not gender specific, think about a man who hates his mother, like who had a mama who was a crackhead and a hooker, like he hated his mama. Well, he's not going to be very friendly with women. He's not going to be a good man when it comes to women. He might grow up and date a white woman because he doesn't want to be with a black woman, because he thinks about black women, he thinks about his mama. I think that's why Kamala Harris married that white man. Kamala Harris, got with Doug Emhoff. Now think about this, right? She's an AKA. She was on the Yard. She always talks about going to Howard. Well, if you were going to Howard, you were on the Yard, and you knew all these black people. You didn't meet no black men that fit the criteria, not one. Like, that's well, she did date Willie Brown, who was like twice her age. Like, I think he was 60 and she was 30. We know what that was about. I mean, that's what it was, right? Is it bad or good? No, I don't know. I'm not going to judge that. But I think that maybe I am judging a little bit, but I'm not really trying to judge. I'm just saying that it's like you see what it is, right? She's an ambitious person, who said, hey, you know what? This old guy, if I go and, I take care, tickle his shriveled up balls or whatever, then he's going to give me a promotion. He's going to give me an opportunity. And if you look at her career, you look at her career trajectory instantly tilted upward after she got with Willie Brown. Now, here's the thing, though. Is that necessarily bad? I don't know. I mean, people do that stuff all the time. I'm a believer that women should choose men that can make their lives better. I don't fault women for that. But I think it should be called kind of for what it is, too, though. And I also think that when that Kamala is sort of trying to pretend like that never happened, she can't do that. It happened. We saw that, right? It's no different from when Bill Clinton got with Monica Lewinsky. You know why older men like younger women. We know why a lot of younger women like older men, right? So if you're going to hold Bill Clinton accountable for getting down with Monica Lewinsky, then you have to hold Kamala Harris accountable for getting down with Willie Brown, right? And that's what it is. That's what it happens all the time. I don't know. I just think but it also speaks to a type of ambition she has. It kind of says to me that she's kind of willing to do whatever it takes in order to be wherever she wants to be. And also, you could tell a lot about a person by who they choose to marry. Like, who you choose to marry is a reflection of what you like and what you're attracted to. Like, I know black women who physically cannot marry a white man, like, who would literally rather just be single forever than to be with a white man. They're just not attracted. They can't do it. I can't do that. Like, no disrespect. If you're a white woman and you're watching, I'm sorry if I offend you, but I couldn't marry you. I've had white women approach me or whatever. It felt awkward. It felt weird. I couldn't relate of that. I wasn't attracted to that. So there is something that you can pick up by looking at who that person chooses to have next to them. It does mean something. It's not like a non-issue. Like, her dating Willie Brown says something about who she is. Her marrying Doug Emhoff says something about who she is. Just no different from Barack Obama marrying Michelle says something about who he was. And people saw that. That's why they voted for him. If Barack had not married Michelle, a lot of black women would not have voted for him. So if a lot of black women wouldn't have supported Barack for marrying a white woman, What makes you think that black men should be supporting Kamala Harris after she married a white man? Right? Really, like there's no black man that I see, no straight black man in her space that's having a significant influence on how she sees policy, how she views the world. She's got two men in her life, Doug and Joe, two white guys. Joe was a man who spent his life incarcerating black people, calling us super predators. He gave us that speech I shared it on my Instagram where he's saying there's 100,000 of these super predators and we must take them out of society, right? That's an Adolf Hitler mass extermination speech. We have to mass exterminate all these young black people because they're going to hurt somebody, right? He didn't say black. He used code words, dog whistle language. Like he says they come from single parent homes. You know what the fuck he's talking about, right? So Joe wanted to exterminate black people. Doug is a white guy. I'm sure he's a very nice white guy. Kamala spent her life as Attorney General of California. She has a lot of bodies in her wake as well. There's nothing on this earth that I see as a black man that makes me say, oh yeah, I really want to see her in office. That would be like a woman voting for a rapist. Like that literally, like why would you tell a woman to do that, right? So I think the black women who can hear what I'm saying and empathize with that, I appreciate them because they're kind of like the same as the men who can empathize with women who've been victims of assault, right? The men who stand up and say, no, that guy did horrible things to women. I'm not supporting that guy, right? Well, the same thing is true with Kamala. Kamala did horrible things to men, and there are black women who are like, no, we're not supporting. We don't do that here, right? So I think that could be a problem for Kamala. I'm curious to see how the election plays out in terms of how that influences the outcome. I'm not rooting against them in the election. I told you, I think that how you do in your life is going to be completely independent of who gets elected. But I'm curious. I really want to see how things play out. Like, for example, life presents a lot of interesting natural experiments. Like, for example, when all those Republicans caught Corona, I thought that was great because they deserve it. I mean, they don't wear masks, they don't wash their hands and shit. They want to have these big parties and get in each other's face, and they really truly think it's not real. We don't do that. Like Alicia and I we don't get all up in people's faces and try to catch Corona. We're not afraid of Corona, right? There's a difference, right? But the Republicans, they want to pretend like it's not there. They want to be anti-maskers or whatever. So a bunch of them caught Corona. So I said, this is going to be interesting. This is a great natural experiment that will help us get to the truth. Now, the Democrats are telling us that everybody's getting it. Everybody's dying, that everybody's going to be dead next week. It's terrible. The world's coming to an end. I don't believe that. I told you guys, I think that's bullshit. Because if it's true, then that would mean that all these old fat Republicans, Chris Christie, who looks like he's nothing but a big fat pre-existing condition. Chris Christie probably has at least 30 things in his body right now that could kill him. He's a walking parasite, I'm sure. I mean, the man's disgusting, right? If people like him and a bunch of other old Republicans like him, all these old senators and old members of the House of Representatives, all these people are surviving, then clearly that does not support your theory that we're all going to die and we all need to sit in the house scared to death of talking to our neighbors. That is bullshit. And this is an argument that only smart people are really going to understand, is that I can say this to you without you getting offended because you happen to know somebody who succumbed to the virus. Knowing one person where this happened to does not mean that it's going to happen to everybody. I have friends that were shot. My best friend was shot in the head and killed in front of his daughter. But I don't think that's going to happen to everybody, right? But I expect you to empathize with it. But don't think that every black man's going to get shot. And I think that they trigger you, like another thing that they do with the police shooting thing. I'm the biggest advocate in the world for dealing with the issues that black men have in the criminal justice system. I wrote a book about that years ago called What If George Bush Were a Black Man? I have a whole section where I talk about what black men go through in the criminal justice system. I broke all that down. I've been talking about it for years. But what I do not like is when they focus on this police shooting thing and they market the police shooting so much that you have people saying, oh my God, I'm scared whenever my son leaves the house. I'm afraid he's going to be shot by a cop. I'm like, there's only less than 50 police shootings, police deaths of black men per year. Millions of people, like 40 die that way. If you're worried about your son getting shot, I know a lot of gangbangers who would take your son out in a minute. I know most of the guys I know that have been shot were not killed by a cop. And I'm not saying, this is not pro-cop. This is not me saying, oh, cops are perfect, cops are great. I know about the issue. I'm saying that you're confusing the issue. You're digging deep, but you're digging in the wrong hole. Right? You need to be getting heart surgery, but you're amputating your left leg. Like, no, you need to be at the hospital. You need surgery. You're just doing the wrong surgery. Chopping off your left leg is not going to fix your heart. So getting all caught up in police shootings because it's white supremacy. White people start marketing this and we internalize this. It's a type of terrorism. It is a way that they trigger Black people deliberately because they're trying to manipulate you and get you to go vote for their favorite candidate. So they'll take one shooting, oh my God, Milwaukee, or oh my God, in Texas, this one terrible thing happened to this one guy, and it can happen to you too. It's going to happen to your son too. Right? And all the while, you got 100,000 Black men being beaten and raped in prison every day. And you don't even see all of that because you're over here worried about this one thing that happened to one guy with one cop. And you don't even know the details of the situation. Like that's why I can't dig into some of these shootings, because some of them I'm like, can't we at least wait to get the facts first? Like, is it possible that maybe something happened and it didn't just happen to occur this way because somebody was Black? I'm not saying that racism isn't real. I'm just saying I need to know that it's real before I say that it's real. I can't just jump on a bandwagon just because everybody else is talking about it, because that's how you kill your credibility. So I think when it comes to the stuff that should matter for us, I think we have to make that decision, right? I think that we have to stop and say, okay, what is really killing Black people? When I think about my own life, and I think about the lives of the people I know, and I think about all the people that have been killed in my family, what did they die from? Okay, let's see. My grandma, my uncle, and my cousin died from heart disease, and diabetes. They were all, 300 pounds when they died. My brother got shot, he got shot by another dude at the club. My cousin, maybe my cousin died from, I don't know, from my cousin, maybe my cousin died from HIV or something. I don't know, right? And then I had an auntie who had I don't know, cancer, right? I think that when you're talking about death, rather than talking about the things that they think that they're telling you might die from, I would prefer to look at the things we're actually dying from, and then really attack those things. Like if Black lives really matter, like if you're really trying to save Black life, you focus on the things that are taking Black life. So I would start with something basic, like what are the 10 leading causes of death for African Americans, right? So let's see here. Leading causes of death let's look at Black men, since we're talking about police shootings and stuff like that. Okay, so here are the 10 leading causes of death for Black males. Y'all listening? Y'all with me? Give me a yes or no in the chat if you're following what I'm saying. Number 1, heart disease. That's killing the overall majority of Black men is heart disease, not police shootings, not coronavirus, heart disease. So maybe if Black life really matters and we want to save Black men, maybe we start with the things that's killing Black men the most. So how do we fix that? What do we do? Maybe we encourage Black men to take care of our hearts, maybe eat less salt, eat less Popeye's chicken, whatever the fuck, take care of our bodies, right? Number 2 is cancer. I don't know. I mean, some cancers can be prevented, some cancers can't. Cancer kind of sucks that way, right? Number 3 is unintentional injuries. That's kind of broad. I don't know what that means. Number 4 is homicide. So who's killing all these Black men? So let's see here. Okay. So how many Black men were murdered from gun violence last year? Okay. Let's say the number is, 40,000, or not 40. Let's say it's 10,000. I don't want to be like so grim. Let's say 10,000 Black men were murdered by gun violence last year. Okay, so the white people on TV keep telling us that the cops are doing all these killings. So how many of these Black men were murdered by cops? Okay, 40. 40 black men were murdered by the cops. Let's be exact. Let's really blame white people. Let's say the number. Let's double it. Let's double it to 80. I don't think that there's 80 black men murdered by cops in a given year. Because remember, every police shooting, every police killing is mass marketed, right? It's mass marketed. So 80 would mean that you had 2 killings or 1.5 killings per week that are mass marketed to the public. I haven't seen that frequency, but maybe they're hiding the killings. Maybe police are murdering black men and nobody knows about it because the media doesn't want to talk about that, because we know that talking about the murder of a black man by the police isn't going to have any ratings. No one's going to watch that, right? But let's say it's 80. So 10,000 black men got killed. 80 were murdered by the cops. Well, what happened to the other 9,920? Do we just like say, fuck that and fuck them? Who gives a shit? Or maybe we investigate. Maybe we go find out who's killing all these black men. And the problem with that is that because you're a white supremacist, you're not going to properly investigate, because what's going to happen is you're going to step out of your wheelhouse that they've allowed you into. Like you're a hamster in a wheelhouse. They let you run along this hamster wheel where you get all emotionally charged up over bullshit that doesn't matter. But then you try to step off the grid. You step out of the wheelhouse. They're like, oh, no, Negro, you can't go there. So because what's going to happen is it's going to lead you back to things that are not politically correct. Like, wait, maybe there is such a thing as something that looks like black on black crime. Like, we don't have to call it black on black crime because maybe we want to avoid the stigma or avoid the trigger, but it sure as fuck looks like when black men in the hood are afraid that they're going to get shot by another black man in the hood, maybe you don't call it black on black crime, but it's something, right? It's maybe you just call it crime. I don't know what the fuck it is. Hood on hood crime, whatever it is. That's what I've seen in my lifetime. Most of the black men I know who get killed by some dumbass Negro. Like, seriously, like really. So maybe we have to stop and say, okay, who are our enemies? We got our foreign enemies and our domestic enemies. Maybe we have some domestic enemies that we got to deal with. Maybe we got some black people who really don't love black people that much, right? Maybe we have to confront that if we're really, truly trying to save black people, right? Or truly trying to protect your son. Seriously, when I see kids in Chicago getting shot up, a lot of them ain't making it to their 18th birthday. A lot of these kids getting shot up and killed have not been killed by the police. It does not let the police off the hook. We know the police have their issue, but it means that we must go deeper if we're truly trying to solve the problem. But that's the issue though, right? Politicians aren't really trying to solve the problem. They're just trying to get you all riled up so you'll vote in the next election, just in case you didn't know. What else is on the list? Things that kill black men. Number 1 is heart disease. Number 2, cancer. Number 3, unintentional injuries. Number 4, homicide. Number 5, stroke. This is all kind of related, right? Heart disease and stroke is kind of like all connected, right? Basically high blood pressure, shit like that. Black men need to stop and kind of deal with that shit. We got a lot of stress and hypertension. Now, you could put that on white people though, because most black men work for a white man, and that will stress you the fuck out. Like, that will kill you. There are studies. There's a study by a professor at Harvard who literally said that black men die earlier because of racism. So one of the ways to confront that, I believe every black man on earth needs to be an entrepreneur. Every black man on the planet, except for the beta males or the gay men or the men who don't mind serving white people, who really like white people a lot. Every black man outside of that group needs to learn how to start a business, or get with some black men who can start a business so y'all can just be by yourself and be safe and protected, because that's important for your mental health. I met a guy one time who told me that working for white people stressed him out so bad that it literally zapped the testosterone out of his body. He said my testosterone was gone. And he said I was doing what my wife was doing. He said I was sleeping all the time. I was gaining weight like a woman. I couldn't get it up for my wife. His penis didn't work anymore. And like, they literally had emasculated him. And when he quit, he said, I got fired and that was the best day of my life. And he said that, and then he showed me this big box of pills. He has to take like a big box. He has like 5 different pills he has to take just to keep him going crazy, because working with white people made him that crazy. Like, that's the thing. Racism just makes you insane. Racism makes you lose your mind. I'm not going to pin my website. My fingers are too big. If I try to pin it, I'm going to mess it up. My website, if you want to know, go to allblackeconomics.com. Somebody type allblackeconomics.com in there so the brother can see it. Allblackeconomics.com. You can get a free copy of my book there if you want to, if my insanity is appealing to you on some level. So let's keep going. Number 6 is diabetes. So we do have a diabetes issue. A lot of us grow up eating that sugary food, that unhealthy shit that we get fed as a kid. Chronic lower respiratory disease. Number 8 is kidney disease. I just saw today the rapper Scarface. I met Scarface on the Breakfast Club. He's a very nice, Scarface is a very nice guy. And so Scarface was on Twitter today, and he stated, Willie D shared this. Willie D is a good friend of mine. He's going to be in my wedding. I love that brother. And Willie shared a screenshot of a tweet from Scarface where he said that he needs a kidney. And I think he put his blood type on the tweet, which I thought that was very sad. I hope that he gets the kidney he wants. But I thought that's interesting. He's asking for a kidney on Twitter. Okay, well, maybe it'll work. But either way, kidney disease, septicemia, and hypertension. Hypertension to me is very much connected to stroke and heart disease, right? They all kind of fit in the same category. These are the top things that are killing Black men. These are the top causes of death. So I personally think that, again, because I just happen to have this like horrible curse of like wanting to actually solve problems as opposed to just bitch and complain about them. I think that if you're really trying to talk about what it means to save Black life, if you're really trying to talk about what it means to make Black people better, I think you should go to the places that actually are going to have an impact and not just let white people guide you into whatever they think is important. It's what really matters is what you think is important. That's what has to matter. That's when the conversation must start. That must be the alpha and the omega. I think a lot of it has to also go back to us consuming Black-owned media. I think we need to talk to each other more than talk to each other and listen to each other more than we're listening to them and talking to them. Number 2, education. This is a great opportunity. We're educating our own kids right now. We could do this forever. I think we should just stay in a quarantine. Like you've been quarantined from white supremacy for a while. That's extremely beneficial for you. I say let the quarantine keep going. I don't really think you have to send your children back to school after the pandemic is over, right? So maybe that's one benefit of coronavirus is it's gotten us into a different lifestyle that's cut the addiction that we had from the previous lifestyle that we had before. So anyway, that's it. You have an investment you'd like to present to me. You can email producer@flynubianmedia.com. That's producer@flynubianmedia.com. Send over what you have. Send over some paperwork, proof of concept, and we might look into it. I don't really do a lot of meetings. Just so you know, I just don't. That's not. I'm incredibly antisocial. I apologize for that, but that's just who I am. So anyway, I love you guys. I hope you have a great day. Don't forget, PowerNomics Masterclass starts on the 15th of this month. So you can go to PowerNomicsMasterclass.com if you'd like to join. Use the code word podcast. You can get 30% off. We start on the 15th at 2 p.m. So it's PowerNomicsMasterclass.com. I'm out of here, guys. Have a good day. I'll see you later. Be good. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down.